Okay, YouTubers and space detectives, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV and Mars Magazine. If you're not a member of Mars Magazine, do come along on Facebook here and it will join you up for free. And if you want to keep up with the latest images from Mars, from the Perseverance rover, as well as the other missions up there, this is the place to be. So do come along, it's completely free, and you will see things like this that I posted before they go up on YouTube or elsewhere, okay? Now what I've done, you're gonna like this, I've got some new gigapans of Jezero Crater, and I've got two of them here. They're both the same, but one of them is raw. This is the raw one. Jezero Crater 360 view, okay? And this is the enhanced one, which is a bit brighter and a bit more colourful, but not necessarily better, okay? And I found a whole bunch of things. Now, what I've done is I've marked them all. I'm going to show you them in sequence in a minute. I'm not going to go through every one on the gigapan because that would take too long. But what I have done is I've put markers on here for you to follow, little stars here, and you can just look at each thing yourself. And I've done it on both of them here, okay? So you can check them out in colour and in raw as well. Now the raw, I think in some ways is better, because it's lighter, and as I said in the previous video, when you look at things up close you can actually see into the shadows underneath, and often that's where some of the goodies are, okay? So we're on a bit of an Easter egg hunt today, and some of these Easter eggs on Mars are really strange. I'm still a bit sort of speechless about some of it, to be honest. And I'm not really sure what some of these things are. So I'm hoping some of you out there may have some ideas about what some of these things might be. Because as with Gale Crater, we find things that are familiar, but often we find things that are just very, very strange, but don't look natural. And I think that's what we have here today. But first, let's have a quick look at the bunker-shaped structure up here, because this is the best detail we've had of it so far. Now, I'm not necessarily saying this is a bunker. It's a bunker-shaped structure from this side, but actually this thing is huge, and it's over a mile away. Even though it looks like it's quite close up, it's just very large, and there's something like, from one side to the other, from this corner to the other corner, which we can't see, which is back here, it's something like 270 meters in size, so it's really big, okay? It's really, really big. And this wall here is something around 50 or 60 meters across, just this bit. Now, you would think, looking at this, that this was only a few hundred feet away, but it's not. It's about a mile away. Now, this looks really cool. Even in the raw image, you can actually see on the edge of this thing, it's got this really nice angle at the back here, which is rectangular. When we get closer, we will see that there are all sorts of artificial things on it, or cut out of it, maybe, okay? Let's just say that, because most of the structures that I've seen like this in Gale Crater tend to have things carved in them, and they tend to have entrances and columns and things like that, which are not natural, of course. For instance, if you were to say a tree is a natural thing, but if you go up to the tree and you see there's loads of names carved in it, then it's not really just a tree, is it? It's no longer just a tree. And that's what we have with a lot of these things on Mars. A lot of these structures, they appear to be natural at first until we get up close. And then you see that there's inscriptions and artwork carved on the side of these things. And often there are doorways and entrances and that kind of thing as well. And I am willing to gamble that that's what we're going to see with this if we get close enough. But basically you can actually see here, if you use the magnifier, hover zoom magnifier, you can actually see that there's lines coming down as well as lines going across. Now these vertical lines are caused by water erosion, okay? These vertical lines here. But it may turn out when we get closer to this, there may be carvings along here and inscriptions, okay? You can actually see some good detail here, right, on that wall. or outer structure, right? And you've got some good detail here, showing the overhang and how it's collapsed here. And if you look at this closely, you can actually see some very square block work going on here. So I'm not convinced this is a natural structure at all yet. I'm willing to be proved wrong, of course, but I'm sure when we get closer, we'll see lots of more artificiality about it. But look at that square block there. Is that natural? Yeah. And what we can do here is compare both of them. You can flick between one and the other and then look at it in the enhanced colour. This has been brightened and colour corrected. And the objects on the ground, some of them look really good, but a lot of them are very dark because when you add, or when you convert to RGB, things tend to go darker, okay? Especially in the shadows. And you can't necessarily see things as well, but some things look better and you can actually see that detail really well here. Look at this stuff here. We've got a line going across there and all these lines coming down. That to me really does look like water erosion. So this is a very old structure to have water erosion because apparently it doesn't rain on Mars now. Although I'm pretty sure it does once in a blue moon, basically. But there we are. You can see some weird stuff in there. There's a square block there. Perfectly square block. So some of these things may turn out to be carvings and things like that, like we've seen at Mount Sharp in Gale Crater, okay? I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see that. And this looks great. I mean, it's really, really nice. I've got the things that I found here up in my graphics processor, and some of this stuff is really weird, and some of it's quite funny looking. Weird, strange, whatever word you want to call it, I don't know. And this is the weirdest, I think, perhaps. And I don't know what it is. But it doesn't look like a normal rock. It actually looks like some kind of object that's been made, an artifact that's been made. It's either made of stone or it could even be plastic. We don't know. Just because these things are surrounded by rocks and have got a dust covering on them doesn't mean they're rocks, okay? That's one thing you've got to remember. If you were to throw, say, an alarm clock or an old DVD player in this area and leave it there for thousands of years, it would end up looking very similar to the surrounding rocks because of the dust and everything and the conditions, okay? And I think that's what a lot of these things are. They're basic. This looks like a child's toy or some kind of weird thing. It doesn't look like a mummified creature to me. This looks like a toy because we have this perfect curve here coming round, and even in the raw clip here, you can see the raw clip there, and it's got a perfect curve there. Absolutely insane, and we've got these weird details in here, like an eye, and another eye, really bright eye there, okay, and a nose, and a mouth with a lip detail there, okay, and what looks like an ear sticking up, and this weird shape to it with ridges along the back here. You can see these nodules along here, like a spine or something. Very strange. I don't know what to call this thing. I think I called it Catboy when I saved it. Yeah, Catboy Mars. Could be a girl, cat girl. Who knows? I mean, I really don't understand what this is really supposed to represent. It's some kind of weird creature. It may be a plastic toy that's melted, partly, because this part doesn't match up to that part very well. So it looks to me like it's damaged or melted. Could it be plastic? Were they using plastics on Mars? Maybe. But even in the raw clip, you can see that eye, the bright eye there, and the nose and the mouth. And when you zoom in, you can just about make out a bottom lip there, and a top lip, and a little nose. But that eye there is absolutely insane, right? In itself, even if the rest of it isn't what we might think it is to be, then that on its own is just very, very strange. So who knows what that is? I don't know. I just have to give these things names so that I can catalogue them for my playlists and for my Mars Museum, basically. Basically what I'm running here is effectively is a digital museum of Mars artifacts and artwork and architecture and everything else. Like a museum would have. You'd have mummies in a museum, you'd have an art section, you'd have vehicles in another section, and you'd have different things in different parts of the building. That's what I've got on my channel, and that's why I've got about 100 playlists now with all the different things categorized into different groups for easier comparison, okay? A bit like you would have in a museum. So that's what I'm running here. I'm the curator and the director, whatever you want to call me, and this was initially the goal. Initially, the goal of my channel was to show artwork from other planets, alien artwork, art alien, okay? That was the whole point. But I never thought in a million years that I would have found so many things in the time I've been doing it, which is about 9 or 10 years, nearly 10 years now, okay? I've been doing this channel, but of course I was doing anomaly hunting and research long, long before that. Okay, so there's some weird stuff here, and I don't understand what all of it is, but I have to give it some sort of category so it can be looked at in the playlists and compared with other similar things. So that was really, really weird, but pretty cool. Whatever it is, it's pretty cool looking. And is it a toy? Is it a carving? I don't know. There was this. This was a weird one. Now this is partly an optical trick, because now I don't know what this is either, but it looks a bit like a carving of a person, like a figurine of a man with a beard, to me anyway, right? And unfortunately we have this kind of rock in front here which is obscuring a lot of the detail. So I think this is a figurine, but we have obfuscation from this object here, right? And if I go in a bit closer, it's not very clear. This isn't very big. This is probably only a few inches high, maybe 5, maybe 4. Not very big at all. So there's not a lot of detail to be seen. But you can see what looks like horns, a head, a beard, a nose, and an eye. There, okay? And you can see the cheek there and a bit of mouth detail, right? Weird, very weird indeed. It looks like a figurine, but it may be another toy, who knows? Okay, very strange. And even in the raw image you can see that, right? Very, very strange indeed. It's absolutely crazy stuff we're seeing here, just like we see in Gale Crater. So is that a figurine? Is it an optical trick? There's a bit of both going on here. I don't think that is a beard. I think that's part of his, probably his shoulder or neck or body, like this side, because it's kind of symmetrical with that side. So I could be wrong here. I could be seeing it wrong. We should see it from another angle, hopefully, right? So we should get some different angles on all these things and maybe work out what they are in coming days and weeks, okay? So there was that one. Don't know what to call that really. There was this, which is so weird. And I've called it the frog, for want of a better term. For obvious reasons, we have a very large mouth and a big eye here and an eye here. Okay, and possible nose there. A frog. What the hell is a frog doing on Mars? But other frogs have been found, amphibians and lots of reptiles mainly, but amphibians, a few, have been found. How ridiculous. What the hell is going on here, right? And then there's this, which I rather liked for obvious reasons. This is really cool. Now, not very clear. This thing is probably a bit bigger than the human head, I would say. More than 8 inches high. Probably more like 10 or 12, okay? But I could be wrong. It could be 9, which is human-sized. So obviously we have a head here of a humanoid with a chin there, ear, eyes, nose, which is rather strange with these weird big nostrils, and a very strange mouth, right, which comes round. This is pretty crudely carved, I would say, because we got a weird mouth that comes around like that. Okay, and next to it is something rather strange as well, and you can actually kind of see it better in the smaller clip here, the raw clip. There's the raw clip. Look at this thing hanging down. We got a hand here with fingers. One, there's thumb, finger, finger, finger. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 or 4 fingers there and a thumb. Okay, you can see it in the enhanced one here. Once you know it's there, it comes around like that. There's a finger there, and a finger there, and a finger there, and a finger there, right? Or is there only 3? I don't know. It's not very clear. This isn't very close to the rover, but this thing sort of is behind this head, and it's got a weird shape to it, and it's got a mouth here with teeth here, and a very strange eye there with eye detail. There's the mouth. That's what I'm seeing anyway. I could be wrong. This is very, very strange. I'm just showing you my initial impressions of what we're seeing. Sometimes they're wrong, can't always be right. And then we got this weird sort of thing with 2 triangular parts behind it here. And there's that hand. Let me take all that off a minute so you can see that again. As I said, I'll put all these in at the end of the video anyway, so you can see these in your own time and take your time, look at them properly, get the magnifier, have a look at them. And it's just really, really weird what we're looking at here. And we shouldn't expect to understand fully what we're looking at all the time. This is an alien planet. Even though it's in our solar system, a lot of the things on this planet may be very, very strange and nothing like some of the things we have down here. Although a lot of them are, a lot of them aren't, okay? So we shouldn't expect to understand these things straight away. And when you're looking at these things, a lot of the time they may just turn out to be an optical trick, fair enough. But in order to get to the good stuff, you've got to sift through a lot of crap, okay? That's archaeology. That's how you do it. You get all the rubble and you sift it through. You sift and sift and sift until you find the gold coins and the figurines and valuable and interesting objects, okay? That's how you do archaeology. Then there was this, another head, and this one looks like it's attached to a plinth here, right? So this looks like it's carved to me, because if this was mummified, it wouldn't have this collar, would it? I don't think so. It's almost as if it's a statue that's buried. It's just buried up to right up to the chin, and the sand's eroded away, revealing the head, which is lovely and clear, the shape. There's not a lot of detail in here. You can see the eye with eye detail, quite good eye detail there. This one is just a shadow. We got a small little nose, obviously, and quite good mouth detail with bottom lip detail there and top lip there. So there we are. And there's kind of bits of rubble and sand up against it here. But you can actually see, if you look carefully, you can see this line here that goes around and up like that. And then we have this part, right? Which is a part of this rock here. So it's either crap that's kind of blown up against it, or it's actually propped up as if it's been placed very carefully in a sort of stand or plinth or whatever you want to call it, right? Like a little pedestal type plinth type thing. Now, why would that be? Is this a grave marker? Possibly. Like in Gale Crater, these heads are all over the place, and a lot of them I think are grave markers. Instead of a gravestone, they'd actually have a carving of the person that may be buried just below. Who knows? Instead of a flat gravestone with an inscription, maybe they had these instead. That's just a theory, can't prove it. Who knows? So that was nice. That was Quite elegant looking, this one. Interesting. Really cool. Not very big. Probably about 4 or 5 inches high. Not very big. And there was this. Now, this was also spotted by Jean Ward, again. Now, he spotted it in Sol 3 or 2 or something, I think. And in that image, it's not very clear and it's really dark and in shadow. I showed it as well earlier on. But he was there first. So, but this is a close-up. We've got a nice close-up of it, right? And it's clear. Much better image. And you can see that this thing is just really, really weird. And I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's a very odd shape. And when you go in close, you can actually see what look like eyes here. And a chin here, maybe. But how does it relate to this thing on the side? I mean, look at that arm-like object on the side there. We got these weird details down here, which don't make a lot of sense, right? But that may be another arm there on that side, but we're not seeing it at a very good angle. Now, what we may get with this, like with the other things, we should get some other angles of this, right? So we should be able to work out what it is or what it isn't, at least, right? Because a lot of these things you need to eliminate, use a process of elimination, just like Sherlock Holmes, and eliminate what these things aren't. And then eventually you may come to an agreement roughly what it might be. You may never know exactly. These are alien objects. We may never know what they are exactly. We just have to eliminate what they aren't, right? Out of the long list of possibilities, right? And then we get eventually to what it might be, okay? And this thing was weird in front as well. This seems to have a nose, a mouth, quite a bright eye there, and another bright eye here, right? Very strange. It's got this weird thing on the back, which may be a rock behind it, but it looks like it's joined there. Nostril. Very strange. Doesn't make a lot of visual sense to me, but like the other things, we should see that again from a different angle, hopefully, and we should be able to work it out, okay? You can see, even in the raw clip, once you know it's there, you can see those eyes there. Very strange. I mean, it's super weird. And just like Gale Crater. These are everywhere in Gale Crater, right? Very, very strange. Then there was this. Now, I don't know what to make of this. This may just be natural rock that's just got some holes in it. But look at the holes. Why do they always seem to line up like 2 eyes and a nasal cavity? How amazing is that? So there's a nasal cavity there, possible teeth here. I could be wrong, it may just be a piece of coral or something. But there's some weird stuff going on here. Very strange indeed. There's the raw clip there. It's in shadow, it's pretty dark. Impossible to say from this image really what it is. And it's right near the bottom of the image as well, so we can't see below it much. But this is just weird. The part on the side here, sticking out, and these strange holes in it that look a bit like a face, but probably, judging by the shape of this thing, maybe not. But this could be a damaged grave marker, and it could have had multiple faces carved in it. And some of it's cracked and broken away or eroded, so who knows. So not going to speculate too much on that, don't really know. We need other angles of these things to see them in a different light. And that may just look completely different when we see it from another angle. Who knows? So we'll see. Then there was this thing, which to me may be a rock, but it may not be. It may be some kind of creature. Here's the nose here. You can actually see a nostril, lower jaw here, mouth, and then an eye here. Right, brow there. Let's get rid of that so you can see the details. You can see there's a nostril here, right? Mouth. You can just about make out an eye here. Right? Don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's got a very strange head. If it is a creature, it has a very bulbous kind of skull here, which is interesting in itself, right? So even in the raw clip, you can see that. So some of these things actually look better in the raw kind of brownish colour, right? Because when you colour correct these things, they all tend to go very blue. And blue actually is probably not the real colour of a lot of this stuff. I would imagine this is a bit browner than that, really. But there we are. So is that some kind of dinosaur, or is it some kind of creature like a boar? It reminded me a bit of a rhino. Okay? Without the horns. Now there are rhinos that don't really have horns, or very small horns, like the Sumatran rhino on Earth. And I have found in Gale Crater things that look a bit like like a cross between a wild boar and a rhinoceros. There's that penguin-shaped dude object here, with the head in front there. This is the enhanced one. So there's that. Right down in the bottom right corner, there's that weird sort of carving thing, or figurine, or whatever it is, that looks like he's got a beard but may not have. I think that's something behind it. You can actually see the chin there. So actually that dark bit may be something behind. So who knows, that could be an optical trick, that, right? But that's not very big, right? Not very big at all. About 4 inches maybe 5, who knows. There's that head with the weird thing next to it that looks carved, and it actually looks really clear just in this image without really doing anything to it. You can see that that's a head, and there's that arm coming down with the fingers on the hand there, just there, and that weird thing with the triangular parts behind it. Super weird. But that is a nice little thing. A little row of carved objects, it seems. If you're new to my channel, thanks for coming along. There's lots of new people coming along to Mars Magazine on Facebook and joining up our channels and stuff. So that's great. So welcome aboard. This is going to get weird, but some of it will be very, very fascinating. And some of it will be a little bit scary. And some of it will just be so strange we won't understand what the hell's going on. I'm pretty sure of it. Because if it's anything like Gale Crater, that's what will happen. And we will see giant statues, we will see buildings, we will see plants, we will see carvings, we'll see art, objects, vehicles, and remains all over the place. And it seems they're almost as close together, these things, as we get them in Gale Crater. The things are really close together. Lots and lots of things on the ground, fragments and objects. The density is quite high, not quite as high as parts of Gale Crater yet in this area, but I'm sure it will do when we get further over towards the edge of the crater. I'm sure there'll be a lot more stuff over there. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Clips coming up now.